Robert back here, Bluegrass Bushcraft. This is going to be a video response for Steve Krewson. Sorry I'm butchering up your name. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Anyway, I apologize for that. Anyway, earlier today I watched your video on the stove that you made from the propane tank. Absolutely awesome, buddy. I love it. Awesome job. Great welding job on that. And one cool stove. But right from the get-go, when you showed that stovepipe on there, I couldn't help but notice it, which I commented and asked you about what it was, because I was pretty sure what it was. But I'm just going to tell you a little story here of what happened to me. I think you've seen the video, one of the videos on my ammo can stove. This is a very small ammo can stove. Compares nothing to the stove you made. Your stove will swallow this thing, and it's going to have 3 to 4 times the output as my little ammo can stove. And I bought the same stovepipe you're using for this because it's a very small stove, and I didn't think there was any way possible that it would put out enough heat to hurt that pipe. And the first burn I done with the stove, I hadn't put this damper on, and it wasn't burning to suit me. And I tested it with the stovepipe with that first burn, and it worked perfect. But then I went back and put this damper in. Had that damper opened up and cranked this stove up. I was watching it burn, and I turned around to pick up another couple pieces of firewood and put in the stove. And by the time I turned around, the stovepipe was glowing orange, and it just started getting little white lines shooting up through it. Looked like lightning streaks. I mean, it was wild. And I reached to turn the damper off, and before I could turn that damper off, just in a couple seconds time, I mean, it just melted down. I mean, it was unreal. This is a very small stove, and it's not going to put out near the heat that stove you have made. I mean, that stove you've got, that thing is going to crank, buddy. So just let me show you here. Right here, this is from the first burn. The way it looked after the first burn with that light aluminum ducting. And like I said, I didn't think anything in the world about this ever happening with such a small stove. But like I said, 2 seconds time, you can see the little lines through it I was talking about. That's what looked like lightning, was that black cracked off of that aluminum pipe. And 2 seconds time, this thing melted down. It was shooting flames, and I was at home testing it. I just had it inside the door of my shop, and I had a pair of welding gloves handy, so I was able to pick it up and set the stove outside and get it under control. But I mean, it was throwing out some flames, let me tell you. And this is a little bitty stove, and that stove you got, that's going to be a rocket stove compared to this. So just giving you a heads up, buddy. Don't use that stovepipe. I mean, it's not stovepipe, and this will happen. And if you got it in the shelter you're talking about making, especially if you got it in a small closed-in area and you're in behind it, and something like that happens, you're not going to have welding gloves on hand, and it's going to be hard to grab that stove and get it out and get it under control. I promise you. So just think about that before you use this anymore. So when this happened, I couldn't find the blue or the black, whatever you call it, steel pipe, but I did find the galvanized. I think the galvanized will work good for you as long as you do a burnout like you did your stove outside and burn all that coating off there the best you can to get the fumes, because you don't want to breathe those fumes. Those galvanized fumes are nasty, and they can't be good for you. I've welded on galvanized, and it's not good for you, I can tell you that. And you probably already know that, because you look like you're a pretty good welder yourself. So but I did find later on the steel ones. There's an Ace Hardware about 10-12 miles from where I live that did have it, but they are discontinuing it. They still have a box full of it, and but it's not priced anymore. They're selling it as the galvanized just to get rid of it. They won't be carrying anymore because nobody uses it anymore. So it is getting a little harder to find. You can probably find it online, and if you can't find it online, which I'm sure you can, but if you can't, just give me the heads up, buddy, and I'll purchase some, and I'll sell it to you for whatever I give for it. If you want to pay the shipping, I mean, I'll send it to you. And but because like I said, I can still find it here. It's just getting harder to find. I found it in the one location, but this is the pipe you need. It's good, solid, and it's not going to burn through like that. And Steve, sorry for butchering up your name, and I hope you'll try to find you some better pipe. I'd hate to see something bad happen. And I guess that's about it. So, all right, thank you for watching. Y'all like, share, subscribe.